What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. I'm your host, Pat Finley. I'm a lead master certified technician at General Parts Group and a certified Sylvester trainer. Our goal is to shine a light on what we believe to be one of the most interesting and rewarding industries a field service technician can work in. We love the work we do, and we're glad you're listening to this podcast. In this episode, I was at Partstown, and I interviewed several people from the tech support team, from techs to managers. So if you ever want to know what it's like to be in tech support or how they got there, this is the show for you. Special thanks go out to the team at Partstown for having me and hosting me. I couldn't do a lot of things I do in my career and of this podcast about Partstown, so shout out to them. Thanks, everybody. All right. Okay, hey everybody, I am at Partstown, and I am hanging out with the tech support team and some marketing people, and we just want to talk about what's going on here and all the great things you guys do here. So first up, we have Tito Montez. You guys probably see him on Partstown's social media stuff and a lot of other stuff, and he's a pretty good guy. He runs a really cool Facebook group. If you're not a member, hit us up and we'll get you added on there. That group kind of blew up, didn't it?
Yeah, it got 3,000 members within within less than a year, actually.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was glad to jump on that one and help support, help admin it a little bit. Need to go through and fill some of these requests out, but yeah. they come in waves. And if I see someone's name on there, I know it's genuine. I go through and add them real quick. But I need to go through and kind of check on some of the others. So it's a pretty good group, though. So it's NRA weekend. I came up to hang out with these guys, tour the facility, really just try to show off some of the stuff they do here, because they do a lot of cool stuff a lot of people don't know about. So, but they do tech support. We're not going to mention any names, but they do have a tech support department here, and they do a really good job helping out fields and techs in the field. Sorry, man, I am all over today. I'm out of my element here. So, but what do you guys want to talk about as far as when a technician calls you, expectations of the technicians when they call, and that kind of stuff? So we're pretty much open to whatever you want to talk about. Yeah. But I know there's some things that we have to get out there, because tech support is not an easy job or a fun job, I don't think.
No, it's definitely a different animal than being on the field. I mean, it's one of the things we expect from technicians is just start somewhere and have a starting point when you contact us. Too many times we get a phone call and it's like, what did you do? And it's like, well, I just got here, or I'm not even there yet.
I'm on the way there type deal, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know what I have to do. I'm like, well, we ask a few questions when we receive the initial phone call. Is it plugged in? Is the gas connected? Or anything that the end user can do. From that point forward, we may recommend some parts to install, or possibly install, and may send them in with the service ticket. That doesn't mean just install everything that came with the package. That just means this might make it a one-trip type of deal. So yeah, I mean, basically treat it like you would any other service call. If you get a service call from a different technician other than yourself, and you're taking over the job. I've had that happen plenty of times to me, where one technician diagnoses and he orders parts, he goes on vacation, and I get there and I'm like, that's not the issue. If I would have installed these parts, I would have had a recall and they would have been mad at me. Yeah. So basically treat it like that. Make sure you diagnose, make sure you look at everything, and then once you complete the job, check everything, make sure it's working right, and then contact us. Or if you actually need help, make sure you've ran through a certain amount of steps before you get there. Make sure that you've checked something. Yeah, we've all heard the stories. Like you said, the guy on the way there is calling, hey, how do I fix this? Or hey, it's doing this, what do I do? And those days of being able to do that are pretty much over. I mean, back in the day when everything was really simple, really common parts, you could get away with doing stuff like that. Yeah. But nowadays, things have multiple boards, miles of wires in them, frequency drives for motors. It's just, it's wild, the stuff out there. So you really need to be on site. You really need to have a little bit of information ahead of time to prepare yourself before you call tech support. Because, I mean, I don't know. I grew up in this industry I've been doing this 18, 19 years now, and I always use this name. It goes down in history. And if you've ever had to call Cleveland and you had to talk to Jack, and you didn't have that information,
the line would go silent. He'd hang up on you, and it didn't matter if you were calling from a payphone back before cell phone days. He'd hang up on you. So I think there should probably be some more guys like that in this industry. You'd probably be a little better off, but it'd probably be some guys getting in trouble too. But yeah, has to have information ahead of time a little bit, man. I mean, I get that we can't possibly see everything we work on.
Yeah.
Technology changes, equipment manufacturer changes, everything changes so fast anymore. Everybody wants that new, latest, greatest piece out there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to stay up to date on everything, but I mean, you still got to do the basics. The basics will get you in a general idea where you need to go, and then call out to people like, Tito and the rest of the team here, and they can get you started.
Absolutely.
So what's some of the wildest things you've ever heard being on the line? Don't mention any names or anything.
Yeah. Some of the wildest things, I remember just recently we had a phone call with a guy that said that there was a particular slicer that wasn't working, and they said every time they turned it on, it sounded like it was screeching or almost screaming. Came to find out there was actually a mouse inside of it.
Oh no!
And it was
screaming in misery.
Yes.
I've never heard of a mouse in a slicer. I've seen them in like condensing units and stuff like that, but in a slicer, that's a wild one.
Yeah. Once we received the pictures, there was a nest inside of there, and it was just something else to look at.
Oh, that's crazy. You never know what you're going to get into in this industry.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, we do such a wide variety of stuff that you can see what you think is everything, and the next day you turn around and be like, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long have you been in the industry? I know you were a service tech before you came here to Parkstown. You want to talk a little bit about your history and background before you came here?
Yeah, I've been in the industry a little over 20 years now. I started off working on the part side for a competitor. And then after that, I went into service, did that for about 13 years probably. And then after that, I came over here. Parkstown wanted somebody who had field experience. Most of their technicians had field experience in other areas, other trades. They were, electricians, HVAC guys, things like that. But they didn't have anybody who had the food service side knowledge. So they approached me, and I finally decided to apply and took the interview. It sounded like something I wanted to do. My knees were starting to hurt from being on ladders and on my knees so long. So that was something that I ended up transitioning into, and then from there we are here where we are today.
So how long have you been here?
It's actually just over 5 years now.
5 years? Nice. Yeah, it's a wild industry, man. It's a lot of fun.
There's a lot to see on every side. A lot of good people to meet. The service side, just going out and meeting new people every day. You become friends with some of the employees at the accounts you have. Some of the managers. They feed you well.
Yeah. I always tell the story, man. When I started, I was like 6'2", 235, and I don't want to say where I'm at now. I'm not as bad as I once was, but I'm not as good as I once was either. So it's been a cool career, man. Like you said, you never know what you're going to run into. And I've met so many of the coolest people out there. And the people in this industry, most of them are really good people. I mean, you go into a restaurant and they're freaking out. They can't open up, or they get a critical piece down. It's taking them twice as long to get products out. It's hurting their business. It's hurting their reputation. And you go in there and you have to do what you can to get them going. If you get them going, just the look of relief that comes across their face, and how they thank you it's an amazing time. It's super cool.
It's very gratifying. For me transitioning from an office into that. When I was, doing the part sales, I enjoyed it, but it was every day that after I got onto the field, I felt like I accomplished something, and that was a great feeling for me at the time. I really needed that, and then the gratification you get from some of these chefs and business owners, especially the smaller businesses when they're depending on that money. That fryer is going to pay for their next bills.
Yeah. So I always tell everybody, like, oh, they own a restaurant, they're rich. I'm like, dude, no, that's not how it works, man. I was like, a lot of these people, if you see an owner in a restaurant, they're not working in there because they want to work in there generally. It's because they have to work in there, or they really love it. It's two reasons generally. But Yeah, like you said, it's that satisfaction. I love a challenge, and my guest this week talked about that. I seek challenges. I always take on the stressed out, the customer that no one wants to go deal with because they're mean or they're belligerent, or the unit that 4 or 5 other companies have been out on, and finally they're wanting us to come out and look at. I love that type of thing. And then once you calm that customer down, you fix their issue. Or if it's that piece that 4 or 5 other companies worked on, it's fixed, and it's fixed, and you're happy with the outcome. Just like, it's not really adrenaline. I don't know what a dopamine hit or whatever I guess you get. Just like in your ego. I hate to say ego. I use it very wisely. I don't like to boast. I don't like to brag. But when you do fix it, you're like, yes. So 4 of the guys couldn't do this. 4 of the companies couldn't do this, and I did this. And I think that lends well to what I like doing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely one of the things that pays off is just, and you get bragging rights too, because sometimes the guy who was there, and you're like, what was wrong with that?
Yeah, I had a situation the last couple of weeks, man. A guy, he'd been out on an oven, he changed the gas valve right off the bat. It was a particular gas combi oven, pre-mix burner style, and it was backfiring, and it blew the pre-mix screen out, blew the gas valve up. When they backfire like that, they can cause a lot of damage. Well, he changed things he should have changed. And he had several other follow-up visits, and he couldn't get it figured out. And, my boss was like, hey, I need you to go out here and look at this.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, I need you to read all his notes. I was like, no, I'm not reading any of his notes. I don't want to see that. Yeah. So if I do a callback on somebody or anything, I don't look at the notes. I want it fresh. I don't want it, because if you look at what they did, you start going down the same tree they did. I want to start fresh. So I walked in, I pulled the side panel off, and I was like, okay, I know he changed the gas valve. So I looked, and the adjustment screw for the gases ran all the way in. And that's a needle valve. Yeah. And all it does is restrict the volume. Yeah. So I backed it out to like 4 millimeters, wherever it needs to be. Hit the button, it came right on. I put the side cover on. I was like, hey, have them come back and calibrate the fluid. It's running. That was a big win for me that day. But yeah, it's those little wins that make this job rewarding, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you miss going out in the field?
I miss going out in the field. I don't miss the on-call hours, some of the on-call hours.
Yeah, that could be wild, especially if you do refrigeration, because refrigeration, there's no really pushing it off. You get a call in the middle of the night, you have to go. Yeah. If you get an oven down, like, hey, I'll be out there in the morning, type of deal. But, I've got a freezer and it's at 40 degrees. Well, that freezer's been down for 2 or 3 days, and you just now realize that it's 40 degrees and it's not running. So now it's an emergency. I go out there because all your ice cream's soft and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, you get a walk-in or something, and they have product in there. I had a walk-in one time where it was a hospital where we had an account with, and they asked me to go in for a walk-in, and it was in an area that I had never been into before. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of surprised. Well, that's not where their kitchen is. So I talked to the person who called it in, arrived there, and they're like, yeah, we have a walk-in over here. We actually have a few. Well, I get over there, and I realized that there were bodies in there. And that's why this is such an emergency.
I've never had to do a moored cooler, unfortunately. I don't know if I could do that. I could do it. I mean, it'd take me a minute to get over it.
Yeah, it took a few minutes for me to gather myself and be like, okay, I'm surrounded by all of this. Now it's just time to focus on what I have to do and get out of here.
At least I'm not yelled at me, telling me to hurry up and get done. That's great. So, you transitioned from being in the field to coming in this role. And it's a good fit for a lot of guys, especially, maybe they have health problems. They can't get up and down like they used to. Maybe something's happened to them and they can't do the hours they used to be able to do and that kind of stuff. So is this a viable option for guys that are getting older and don't want to be in the field anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that worked out for me because at the time I just needed the extra time for family. Mm-hmm. My wife was working in a business that demanded a lot more of her time. And prior to that position, she was able to, take care of the kids, have them go to school on time, and do everything around the house. It got to the point where she couldn't do that anymore. So when I came here, it opened up a lot of extra free time in the afternoon. We do have on the tech side, we do have the after hours as well, but I can do an after hours from a cell phone, as opposed to having to drive out, 40 miles, 50 miles, and then have to return. So that's actually an option for anybody who's getting, a little bit older or just doesn't want, maybe doesn't feel like that's a fit for them. They're not really enjoying sitting in traffic as much as they thought they would.
Well, luckily I'm not in Chicago and I don't deal with this traffic because I've been here like 28 hours I think so far, and I've probably used a few curse words my wife's never heard before.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a big city atmosphere, man. I don't know how these guys do it.
Yeah, I mean, normally if I had a job downtown, I would try to line everything up that I had that was near each other and get in at about 4 in the morning and try to be out by 11. That way you beat all the traffic rushes.
That's the way I am. If I can get in a job at 6 in the morning, I am there at 6 in the morning. Everybody's like, you're crazy. I'm like, no. I was like, and my goal is if I start at 6 in the morning, I like to be home by like 4.
Yeah.
I take on more. I don't want to leave my customers hanging. You said something about the hours, and that's something I'm trying to help out with this industry. I'm trying to build this industry and grow this industry. And I think if we have more technicians, the hours, the kind of make up. You kind of adjust that. You can be more manageable. You can be down to 45 hours. At 45, 50 hours is pretty manageable. It's not bad. And I say that, but we get paid, every company's different, but we get paid, to drive.
Yeah.
So we lose, where I'm at, I lose a half hour coming in, half hour going home.
Yeah.
But, so if I leave at 6 in the morning and I'm home by 4, I still make 9 hours.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. It's not hard to get your hours in. So I really think that if we could just build this industry up a little more, get some more guys in, some more younger guys, I think we'll be a lot better off in the hours thing. Because right now, I don't want to leave my customers down. I don't want to leave my employer down. I love who I work for. I love what I do. But, if the demand's there, I feel bad for the customers having to wait. Because, there for a while, we were 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Unless it was a warranty manufacturer, then we were like, hey, we're 2 weeks out. It's like, that's heartbreaking to these people because they're down for that extra time and that stuff. And it's not where I want to be in the industry, so.
Yeah, definitely. The reason I was working so many hours was because we were understaffed. That's plain and simple. We had a ton of refrigeration guys, but nobody, I think out of 15 guys that we had on the team, only 3 really knew the hot side.
Wow, that's kind of different from what I'm used to.
Yeah, so it was like, the refrigeration side, anybody could go out there and take care of it. But once the hot side call came in, even if somebody else was on call, if they didn't know the hot side, they would call me, hey man, can you help me out with this and run this call for me? And then I have that sense of loyalty where I'm like, I know these customers, I know what they're going through, and yeah, sure, I'll go run and help them out real quick.
Yeah, that's just taking pride in your work, though, and the relationships you built. I've got several customers that call me direct, and I try to help them out when I can. I'm like, hey, I can't do this. I can't fit this in. Please call the office and let them know, and they try to squeeze them in. And it's just you have that sense of pride and that ownership of your customers that you want to take care of them. So I fully get that.
Yeah. So, we used to get a lot of the chefs would call me directly, and that I got into it with the office over that. They're like, you know what? You need to have them call us. I'm like, you gave them my phone number,
Yeah, they don't lose that number whatsoever. Yeah. I've had chefs go to different places and like a new phone number calls me and I'm like, oh, this is so and so. I'm like, I thought you had a different phone number. Oh, I'm over here now. I got a new phone number. I'm like, oh, I'm like, and I look them up like, well, you're not a customer, so you for sure are going to have to call the office to get this set up. So that's cool. So any piece of information you would tell a younger person, 18 to 25, that's thinking about getting in this industry?
18 to 25, that's the time to do it. You have all the time in the world. There's very good money to be made in the industry. You have the energy, just make sure you pick up as much as you can from the technicians that are out there who already know what they're doing and they've been seasoned in this and they've experienced everything that you're going to experience. And then just keep in mind that you're going to learn something new just about every single day, which is a plus for me.
Yeah, it's I always talk about my kids. I've got 2 boys. One works with me for almost 2 years. The other one's starting here in a couple weeks, and I'm
I never thought my kids would be here. My youngest always said he wanted to do it, even when he was little. You know, he'd be out. I'd bring him to the shop and I'd clean out my van, and he was little then, so he could just run back and forth in the van. I just have him hand me stuff, help me clean out the van, and now he's 6 foot tall. And he's like me, got to hunch over in the back of the van. But he's starting here in a couple weeks, and my oldest been doing it a couple years, and he loves it. My oldest one loves it. You know, he told somebody that he told my youngest son, he's like, I hated this job for the first year. He's like, I got my butt kicked every single day. He said, but when I did fix something, he's like, I got that sense of, yes, I did this, and that's if you have that mentality and you want to take stuff apart, this is a cool job. Yeah, absolutely. And that first year, maybe first 1 year to 2 years is the toughest. I still have days where I'm like, why did I get into this? Why did I say I wanted to do this? That's great. All right. So anything else you want to talk about Parstown has to offer? Anything you want to talk about here? I mean, really nothing unless we have more to talk about on the tech side. I think you're going to talk to a couple other guys as well on the tech side. Cool. But yeah, I mean, and even for if you have any end users that call you or watch you or listen to you and follow you, I would probably say to them, save your serial numbers. Yeah. Take a picture. Well, if you buy a piece of equipment, I would take a picture of that receipt, because a lot of times, even though you buy a piece of equipment, that piece of equipment may be a year old, and if it's not registered, and you don't have a date of a proof of purchase or a date of occupancy for your building, a lot of times, sometimes the warranty's already expired, and you don't even know it. So save your date of occupancy, or save your proof of purchase, and then I'd take a picture of that data tag and put them together somewhere so you keep it, because some of these data tags wipe off. I've got a customer that's got a brand new holding cabinet I did a rework on. It's 3 months old, and they've already rubbed those data tags off. It's the cleanest chicken place I've ever seen in my entire life. I know where I'm going if I want chicken, it's there. But they already rubbed the data tag off, and I was like, wow, this thing's 3 months old. Yep. So, yeah. And as far as what you were saying with the serial numbers possibly being out of warranty, you just reminded me of a call I had a while back, probably about a year ago. There was a person who purchased a brand new unit from like some Amazon, or I forgot where it was. I'm not sure exactly where he purchased it from. But the serial number was over 10 years old. Wow. And it was a brand new unit in a crate, never been used. But unfortunately, the manufacturer wouldn't cover the warranty for that. Wow. Because they either have to sell it, each manufacturer has their own rules and guidelines, but this particular one said, their guidelines were if the unit was over 5 years old, regardless of if it had been installed or not, it's no longer in warranty. Wow, that sucks. Because it sits there, and like some of these parts get stuck, solenoids and all that, and they don't know where it's been sitting, what kind of elements it's been under. So, yeah, that was kind of heartbreaking to tell this person that they just spent all this money, and sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. I really run into that in like schools and hospitals, big giant bills, because once it gets approval, the way prices change, these dealers go ahead and buy that equipment, and they store it in Connex containers and stuff. Yeah. And then it may be 2 or 3 years later, you're finally installing this stuff. Yeah. And then you look at the serial number, it's brand new, of course, and it looks like the latest model, and you look at the serial number, like, this thing's 3 years old. Yeah. And that's when you do your due diligence when doing your startup, make sure I started up on this date, record your model serial number, that kind of stuff, and it goes a long way. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time. Yeah. Anytime. It's always good to see you. We don't ever get to hang out enough because you're up here in Chicago. I do get to see you at a show, and generally you got someone following you around with a camera, and I got someone following me around with a camera. So, yeah, but we'll see each other this weekend. Yep. You want to tell everybody where they can find you at on social media? Yeah, you can find actually on Facebook group, Commercial Kitchen Techs. That's a group that we're in. I'm also a part of the Techtown Forum group, techtownforum.com. And there's also a Reddit for them. Sweet. So thanks for your time, buddy. Yeah, thank you. Good seeing you. All right, everybody. Back at Parstown still, and I have Nikki Jarzembowski here. Hi, everybody. So she is manager over the service coordinator. Service coordinator. So when a company you guys represent sends a service call over, you guys find the local service agent and send it out to them. So I wanted to have you on to talk about what your job is, because your job is just as important as support guys it's making sure that the front lines get the correct information. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with the company for about 9.5 years. I started in a different division, and I saw everything happening here, and I was like, I want to be a part of that group. I love the, chaoticness, the what's always happening. So when I saw that, I was like, perfect role for me. So starting there, first service coordinator in the parts zone company. And my favorite thing about this role, honestly, to tell you the truth, is getting to meet you guys, getting to understand like what is a technician, what do you guys do, and what are you guys seeing? Also, telling me where not to eat, I appreciate that feedback as well too, because you guys see some crazy things in that field. So it's just a wonderful industry, and I really enjoy it because I get to meet so many people and get to see so many different things happening. I have a team of 10 right now that currently report to me, and with the different brands that we're sending out service for, like our key things that we look for, especially if we're getting an email because we're not on the phones, we're more offline, is we look for 5 core things. I need that serial number. I got to validate the warranty. I got to make sure I have an address where it's at. Also, I need a point of contact. I get emails in from a dealer and they're like, yeah, use me. And I'm like, but you're not there. So I can't utilize you because I need somebody on site who can actually, talk with the service company. Like, I'm going to physically be here this day, or somebody's always here from this time to that time. So those are some core things that my team always is looking for when we're setting up service to make sure that we can give you guys the correct information. We're always validating that ahead of time, or, hey, it's at Oxford Mall, and you're like, okay, there's like 35 restaurants in there. Where do I go from there? So we're trying to make sure that we validate that so I can send you somewhere where I know I'm sending you exactly at. Your time's valuable. You have service calls. So if you're spending 30 minutes just to find it, that cut right into your time. Now you're backlogging the rest of your day. So we try to make sure we're giving you that information to get you where you need to go.
That's great, because I get calls from manufacturers and customers, and like, oh, we're here at 8, and you get there, and like, I get there at 8, and they don't show up till 8:30, 8:45, or, oh, it's this fryer, and you get there, and no, it's not that fryer, it's this fryer. This fryer's under warranty, this fryer's not under warranty. It's just, that information up front makes our job so much easier. And then, on our end, we got to make sure we get the information too. We got to make sure we get a picture of that data tag so it verifies that is the correct model and serial number. Any other information that you guys need on your end is just as critical for us to get as well. Yeah,
and like the thing that I love that a lot of service companies have started adapting to a little bit more is actually getting a name of who they spoke to on site. Because I can't tell you how many times people will come back and be like, nobody was here, and I was like, well, wait a second. Do you have a John Doe there? And they're like, yeah. I was like, well, they checked in with that person, so maybe they just didn't fill out your manager book yet. So that really helps us defend you guys and make sure that we can be like, no, they were there. Like, what's going on? Tech did this, this, and this. Is it not working, or did you just not check it because you didn't see anybody yet?
So I'm trying to streamline for my branch. I'd like to see everyone do it this way. So when I get to a call, before I do anything, I find out who called it in and try to talk to them. If they're not there, I try to get to the next highest person up. And when I start my notes, I arrived on site at this time, and I spoke with, let's just say, I spoke with John Doe.
Yeah.
And he led me to this piece of equipment with this model and serial number. And that's how I start my call. That's before I do anything. So that's already in the call. So that sets it up. If I come back, I know which equipment it is, or someone else comes back, maybe the tag gets mixed up in the call or something, but that note right there is like, oh, he was actually working on this one, not this one.
Yep.
So I like to set my call up for success right off the bat by doing that. And that way you have a reference of who you spoke to right off the bat and everything else. They may be gone by the time you're gone, but at least you checked in with them when you got there.
Exactly. And they brought you to exactly what was their problem. And that's also helped us quite a few times seeing stuff like that, is they're like, well, wait a second, your manager brought us to this saying they didn't have this unit. So, and then you go back and they're like, yeah, you're right. They gave us the wrong information to start. You're correct. Thank you for the assistance on that. So that's huge. I love that you do that. I think that's great seeing that, because that helps everybody. Yeah. So it's a huge thing.
So you guys cover a lot of different companies.
Yep.
I mean, we're not going to talk about that, but so it's all different kinds of equipment. It's refrigeration, it's cooking, it's probably ice and cheese, it's probably everything.
Yeah,
how do you handle that? I mean, that's just as bad as being a service guy almost.
So what's really interesting when I build my team is when I'm hiring, I specifically look for somebody who has a restaurant background. I came from a restaurant management job. So I know when something's down, okay, it's a fire. We got to get them rolling. And I look for people in my world that have that same kind of experience.
They understand it and know what the customer's going through.
Yes, so that way they can feel from that side, but now they're also learning from this side. It's like, hey, you know what, absolutely, but if you gave me all this information, I'd be able to get you somebody faster. So doing that has really helped I think the world adapt and make sure that we can get service as fast as possible, because they understand it, but they also understand from the service company side is, I can't expect you to get out there within 2 hours. It's not heard of anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, man. I love when I get that 4-hour response time. I'm like, no, that's not. I'm like, some manufacturers, they want you on site by 4 hours, and some manufacturers just want, give us a call within 4 hours so we know. And
Yes.
But everyone thinks that 4-hour response time is on site. I'm like, no. I was like, it's different per company. I said, you need to reach out to at least the manufacturer within those 4 hours and figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Don't just leave that call sitting in an email waiting.
No, I agree with you 1,000%, because also if you set that up, I feel like we're setting the customer up for unreal life expectations as well too. Because you're sending somebody on site, but is that somebody actually who could fix it, or is that just the face like, hey, we got your call. Okay, you know what, I got to order a couple parts. I'll be back out in 3 days. And it's like, does that really help? Or does that sometimes hurt? Because now it's like, well, wait a second, I wish you could do it right now, but it's not doable as always.
What we try to do is, okay, if we have a response time in that matter, we'll reach out to, say, you guys or the manufacturer or the customer, like, hey, I don't have a dedicated tech that has these parts on their truck for this call that can meet that response. Can we push it off until I can get him here in this day? Or are you willing to take someone that's not a dedicated tech to at least come out and try to diagnose it and get an idea? And it's a 50-50 split. Sometimes they don't care, they want somebody out there, and sometimes yes, we will wait for the dedicated tech that has parts for this unit on their truck to come. So it's all about that communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, and I think that's the biggest thing is, like, if you told me, like, hey, you know what, I can't get out there today, but I can get out there tomorrow with all those parts, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to take that, because your first time fix now is going to be there. Versus, okay, now technically it's not a first time fix, because now you're on your second trip there. So I really enjoy that, and I like when that happens, because that's the biggest thing we're looking for too, is we're looking for a first time fix versus, okay, I had to send somebody out there 3 times because they didn't have everything right the first time, you know what I mean? Or maybe the customer provided us the wrong information, you went out there and you're like, oh man, it wasn't really like that's what's going on, it really is this, so I do need to go back with another part.
Yeah, we just got to try to do it the first time. And, at General Parts, we have that first time fix program, we have the dedicated tech, and it's really great when it works out the way it's supposed to work out. It works great for the company, it works great for the customer, it's an all-around satisfaction thing. So the first time fix and the dedicated technician program, I really like it. Just, 20 years ago when I first started doing this, there wasn't half as many parts there was now. So you could fix a lot of stuff a lot easier. But I mean, I go work on something now. I've got fryers that have like 5 or 6 boards in them. I'm like, you can't carry all those parts. It's too expensive to carry the parts. And then you're in a truck, you're driving around, stuff bounces around, stuff comes out of boxes, stuff gets tore up. It's just not cost effective.
Well, and the risk of, hey, did somebody break into my van? Like, you don't know really what's going to happen nowadays and where you're at, because maybe it's in, downtown in the city, and it's like you're not parking in front of those buildings because you can never find a spot. I'm sure you're probably like, that's a different topic for a different day, so I understand.
I'm glad I do not work in this city. I thought Indianapolis was bad about parking. I've been in this. I said it with Tito. I've been in the city for like 28 hours, and I've used some very unsavory language my wife's probably not proud of. I can only imagine like New York City. I'm like, how do those guys do it? And they're like, well, we just park and get tickets. We don't care. Or the customer just pays the ticket. I'm like,
oh, all right.
Or they have guys that drive them around and they just get out and fix it. And when he need parts, the guy comes back around with the van. I'm like, you guys pay a guy like $15 an hour to just drive the van around? I'm like, yeah, it's cheaper to do that, to pay someone to drive around and come back and pick you up. I'm like, that's wild.
Also, I feel like you lost the risk of somebody breaking in because there's somebody in the car at least.
Yeah. So, I get the part thing. So it's just, you never could fix it. You can't carry enough parts. I could drive a semi and not have the parts to fix everything I work on. I mean, unless I'm pulling around the parts down warehouse, it's not going to...
Valid. I mean, think about it too. Like you said, boards. How many of those boards have different menu recipes as well too, and different USBs? And does it take a USB or is it a USB-C? Like, how do you have all that? Plus, I'm sure you're not equipped every day with a laptop where you can be like, oh yeah, let me download, let me transfer.
I'm not a normal guy. I bought a refurbished Chromebook that I keep in my van for like $50 off Walmart, and that's all. Most time it's dead. I got to plug it in and let it charge so I can even turn it on. But I do software most of the time, just because, you can do a lot of it from your phone now, but some of the manufacturers do not want you to do
Yep.
it. And I've played with some stuff I have, and I've got it to work, but some of the manufacturers freak out if you say you're going to do it mobile. And some of them encourage it. They want you to do it, but I carry that $50 Chromebook. If something happens to it, it's not the end of the world. But I made a post about it one day on social media. I'm all over social media and stuff I do. And everyone's like, oh, your company should have gave you that, provided you that. I'm like, no, whatever. I'm like, it makes my job easier. I'm not crying over this thing. It's like, whatever. You guys can take it however you want. We used to carry laptops, and then as the technology's progressed, we went to tablets and phones now. So, but yeah, you can carry a laptop if you want, but I carry a cheap one. I had a big fancy one, and I dropped it, and I cried. So
yeah, I don't blame you. I'd be the same way. But like, I also understand why a company wouldn't want to do that, because that's a lot of risk. What if somebody stole that and now they have that information? It's a lot. So I understand.
That's a whole nother topic. I have so many guys. I run a tech council for General Parts, and so many guys are, why is there another authenticator? Why do we have to do it this way? This is going to be the end of me. I can't do this. It drives me nuts. I try to explain it to them, and I think a lot of it is our technicians are older, and it's all newer stuff. So we'll get back onto your side of it. That's my side of it. So the first time fix stuff is a huge thing. It affects a lot of things people don't know about on the back end, warranty rates and customer satisfaction. There's a lot of things that go into it. So the first time fix program is a really good program. What else you want to cover?
So, I mean, you talked about it a lot, like how do you manage it? So we do have a lot of volume coming through. You know, everybody's familiar, I'm sure, with that text service at partstown.com. That inbox hits about 13,000 emails a month.
Wow.
And I have dedicated resources. I have 3 dedicated resources in there, so it's covered throughout the day. The team's pumping out anywhere from like 120 to 150 dispatches a day.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot going on, and you know, we try to make sure that we're hitting every single one of those dispatches within the hour to confirm, like, hey, can you get this? Oh, okay, no, you can't. You're booking a week and a half out. Okay, no worries. Let me try somebody else. So we're actively doing that so we don't lose that, but also don't hurt you guys too, because I don't want to say, hey, you know, I sent you a case like 3 days ago, and you're like, I never got that. What's going on? So this way we try to get it ahead of time, as maybe an email was incorrectly, or maybe we hit spam, because there's a lot of emails that come out of there.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot of things that the team focuses really heavily on, and I think the fact that they have that restaurant background really helps them understand to move with that speed that's coming through.
That's cool. I really I like that aspect of reaching out to people that understand what goes on in a restaurant, so then they understand, you know, what the customer feels, and then once they come in, they can work with the tech support team, and they can learn what the technician feels, the service company feels, and you kind of build that really good team. So I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I could teach you how to use a computer.
Yeah.
I can't teach you to understand that hustle and bustle unless you've lived in it and you felt the fire.
Oh yeah.
That's like the biggest thing I would say.
Restaurants they're a wild place.
It's a different breed.
I have a lot of fun in them. I've met a lot of cool people, and I say this all the time. It's just working in a restaurant. I mean, I try to get in there as early as I can where it's not busy, but when you Friday night and you're working on something on the line, it's 7 o'clock at night, there's a line out the door, and just the speed those people move and the things they're doing, it's like, it's an art. And I love watching how people work. I watch 5-star chefs, you know, plate up food, and it's art. And, you know, you watch people in these restaurants as fast they're moving through, I'm like, these guys don't make enough money for the stuff they're doing. This is wild.
I'm like, how did you not trip over that bird? Like, what? And then you look and you're like, how did you just hit 35,000 steps? Like, what just happened here?
Yeah, it's a wild, it's a fast-paced environment, but it's a lot of fun. And a lot of people are having fun when we're back there doing stuff. It's just, I have a lot of respect for anybody who can do what those people do.
Yeah, well, and also like being in this world too, I think opens you up for so many different opportunities. Because maybe you like, you know, being a technician working on all these different units, but also you're like, whoa, I really enjoyed this one brand. And some of those brands also have in-house technicians that it opens the door, it opens the communication for all those other opportunities for you, and you're just building the network personally.
Yep.
So it's something I really enjoy working in this company.
So I'll be looking out for emails coming from your name. So I'll make sure.
For the long, 9,000 letters in it, you'll find me. You'll find me.
Well, anything else you want to cover about working here at Partstown, and anything else you want to talk about?
Just that I really enjoy the opportunities I've been given. Getting to sit with you. I follow you on LinkedIn, and I was like, wait, you guys really want me on there? I was like, oh no. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, okay. I was like, I will keep it, Nikki, but also what you see is what you get, and I am this loud and this bubbly all the time.
I have fun, and I enjoy it. Man, I'm jealous. I always see you guys having parties, and like, you guys have food trucks come in. I'm like, Man, when's it going to come down to Indy?
I will tell you, yesterday we had some food trucks come in, and of course I happen to be one of the lucky people who went out there, and all of a sudden, downpour.
No.
And I got quite a few emails yesterday with pictures of me because I ran back in with a bag over my head because I was like, oh my God, I'm not messing these curls up today.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Well,
Pure Nikki fashion.
I appreciate you taking time
Yes.
to talk about what you do, and I have a lot of respect for the service coordinators. It's not an easy job. I couldn't imagine as many emails as you get. I feel my service coordinator, she's a trooper. Me and her sometimes don't see eye to eye. It happens, but she's got her job to do. I got my job to do, and I have a lot of respect for the service coordinators. They have a tough job. You especially you guys deal with manufacturers, you deal with customers, your technicians, service companies. That's a lot of people that aren't very happy a lot of times that that they have to talk to you. Nothing personal, but if they have to talk to you, it's generally not on good terms.
Yes.
So.
But I look at it like also this way, like I made a family here too. So like I know that I may not always agree with my, hot side manager or my cold side manager, but I know in the long run, they've got my back. They're also teaching me things. I would have never known how to change a gasket on my own fridge. And I was like, oh, okay. Or some of the questions come through. My favorite one, I have to tell this story. I had somebody's like, hey, I need this black line. And I'm like, I'm looking through a diagram and I'm like, there's no black line. And they're like, no, Nick, that's supposed to be clear. And I was like, what is that? And they were like, that's mold. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, now I've learned that I'm not going to be going there to eat or drink or anything on that one. So, great stories.
Yeah, my son, I talk about my son all the time. I'm proud of him. He's 2 years here. He's doing really good for himself. Good kid. Some days I want to strangle him, but he's getting better. But he's been doing this 2 years, and like he first came to work with me. We went to a wing place, and he loved eating there. And like the first day, I was like, the look in his face of disgust. And now a year and a half later, he'll eat there again. I'm like, see, I told you.
It'll wear off.
I think it's just grease, dude. I'm like, it's the food, the cookie, it's just grease. It's fast paced. It flies out of the fryer. It's just part of it.
Yep.
I said, you'll get over it. I said, some of the other stuff you'll never get over. And I won't go into that.
No, totally understandable.
I won't get into that, some of the stuff you see. But
And the other thing I would say is what really helped me, I think, grow in my role is hopping onto the CFESA train. I am on the Young Professionals Committee and getting to meet all the other people in the industry that you see the emails, but you're like, I wish I could meet you in person all the time. And getting to do that was probably the coolest thing to get to do. And last year was my first actual CFESA conference. And I was like, I felt like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh my God, it's nice to meet you. Oh, wow, this is awesome. So
conference is amazing. So I won Tech of the Year 2 years ago. So thank you. They give it away. They do awards every 2 years. So this coming up when they'll do awards again. So I won outstanding technician. I think it's outstanding technician. I call it Tech of the Year because I like that term.
I'm all cool with that.
But I teach refrigeration for CFESA. So twice they do it class 2 or 3 times a year, and I'll go down. And there's another guy that's local that does it. So we kind of split duty at CFESA. But I was super jealous of the YPC because I was doing some committees, and I was like 39. I turned 40, and I was like, you guys are so mean. This is ageism. This is ageism.
You age gapped it.
Yeah, I was like, and they're like, well, we'll let you come, Pat, because you know what I do, the social media and stuff. They're like, we'll let you come. I was like,
yeah.
No. I was like, you guys are all right. But I love Olivia. She's
wonderful.
She is a great person. I'm looking forward to seeing her tonight, actually. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I won't keep you
No
longer.
worries.
I'm sure you got emails stacking up over there. So.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Nice to meet you,
Nice to meet you. All right, everybody. Back at Partstown again. I have Gil Ramirez, and he is one of the specialists in the tech support team. So you want to talk about what your role is here?
So my role here is I do all the manufacturers on the cold side, roll refrigeration, again, anything to do with refrigeration, cooling, that's the role I do.
Sweet. So were you in the field before you came in, or
Yes.
were you in a different field? So you came from the refrigeration side?
Correct.
So how many years experience do you have repairing stuff?
7.
7? And how long you been here?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So that's cool. So you from this area then?
That is correct.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm from Indianapolis, a little further south, a little more tame area, not so much traffic. I've been a little busy driving around through here the last couple of days. It's definitely different. I can handle it because I drive all the time. My wife's with me, and I don't think she could care for this traffic in the city. So that's really cool. What made you want to come to a tech support role? Just just something different, or just a different aspect of the job? Or?
So I previously worked with another manufacturer, ice machines.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I got a lot of my experience from. Slushy machines, icy machines. So that's kind of the role I kind of stayed in. Mm-hmm. And then I came here because, again, there's different manufacturers, a lot of manufacturers, and you get to see a variety of different, the way different manufacturers work. Mm-hmm. So you kind of get a taste of everything, which is, you get more, you see more.
It's not like working in the field. You never know what you're going to see. You see
Exactly.
a variety of manufacturers, and it's always something different. So I like the aspect of what you guys do here, that you get to see a lot of different stuff. That's pretty appealing to me, because I love this job because I get bored easy, and with the job, I'm not bored. So it works out pretty well for me. So I can see, coming into a role like what you have or some of the other people here at the tech support department have can be pretty appealing to somebody. Maybe you can't get up and down the ladders anymore. Maybe you've had an accident or something. You can't, physically do the job, or maybe you just don't want to work those hours or whatever. You want to try something different. This would be a good fit for that. So I really like what you guys are doing here.
Yeah. The driving.
The driving,
too, especially in the summer, it's horrible. It's horrible.
I love driving, so it's weird. I always tell everybody, I got a lot of people that don't like to drive, and I'm like, I make so much driving as I do fixing stuff, so it doesn't really bother me. I listen to podcasts or music and stuff, and everybody's different though. I mean, I've always done it, so it doesn't really bother me. But if I lived in Chicago, it'd probably be a different story.
Yes, especially doing service work downtown. That's another adventure in itself.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to find a place to park, and you're nowhere near where you're working at. You may be in an alley somewhere. You may be blocking traffic. You're going to get tickets. You're going to get towed.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have people screaming at you. Big city life's probably not for me. Indianapolis is as big as I want to deal with.
Yeah, I've gotten towed a few times downtown, and when I picked up the van, everything was gone.
Wow.
So, yeah.
They don't waste no time, do they?
No. Oh, no.
And it's the tow yards probably, and they just, oh no, we don't know what happened to us. Like that when we got it. So that's crazy. So you guys handle tech support. So I mean, it can be the basic stuff all the way to the most advanced stuff, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, you probably hear the wildest stuff. You have guys call in that have no idea what they're doing. You probably want to call your boss, tell them, I don't know where you got this guy from, but I wouldn't let him touch anything. So what's some of the strangest things you've heard on the phone lines from some guys?
Well, again, with parts town, it's safety first.
Yep.
So if the technician does not know how to use a meter, I mean, we have to tell him, hey, you need to call your supervisor. You need to call your senior tech. I can't, we don't want you to get hurt.
We can't train you how to use a meter. You have some basic knowledge when you call in.
So you have to know exactly what you're doing. We don't want anybody to get hurt. But you get weird ones where, they say the unit's not cooling, but they have it in a little room that's 120 degrees. I mean,
it clearly says on the tag,
right.
Ambient below 85 degrees is most of them. Yeah.
So I mean, you get weird ones like that. Typically, it's those, or the condenser's just caked.
Packed full, yeah.
Packed, clogged.
Kitchens are a wild place, man. I've ran into a lot of upright freezers with the condensing units on top, and people will try to put them underneath the hood, like right next to the fryer, because they keep their French fries in there. I'm like, you should have bought a bottom condensing unit, not a top condensing unit.
Right.
And so you get in there, and it's like, oh, this thing's brand new, it don't cool. I'm like, I can't see the fins anymore. I'm like, this thing's under a hood, it's just sucking straight grease. I'm like, This is not going to be warranty, guys. I can clean it for you, but we're going to have to charge you, and you guys really need to move this, because this isn't going to last here.
Or you get the warranty questions, the condenser's clogged, that's under warranty. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You always get those warranty ones where they want everything covered under warranty, and it's not. It doesn't work that way.
Occasionally, a manufacturer may go ahead, if it's the right customer or something, they may go ahead and give them a grace, on one of those. But, yeah, I can see that. So, do you have any recommendations for guys that maybe want to transition out of the field into a role such as tech support, either at parts town or a manufacturer, anywhere else? Anything you want to tell somebody that may be interested in that?
So the patience you have in the field, you have to be able to carry it over to the phone.
Yeah.
You have to be able to almost imagine what the technician is telling you. So again, you almost have to decipher too, because they can be leading you down the wrong way. So you almost have to see what they're talking about and try to think about it yourself and go based on your experience to kind of lead them where you need to. So you need patience.
Yeah.
Definitely need patience.
Yeah, I'm pretty limited on patience. You could ask my wife, but I struggle with that sometimes. I've learned I'm a lot better than I used to be. I train a lot of new guys, and just to try. Luckily, a couple of them. One's my son, and it's helped me out a lot. But man, yeah, I can see that having patience. I've heard horror stories of guys calling in, and on the way to the job site, or I don't even know how to turn this thing on, or oh, I don't have that tool. Then why are you working on this? You don't have that tool. I'm like, I'd lose it. I'd want to call. I'd want to hang up and call their boss. Like, why are you sending this guy out here? And you can't do that, of course, but. There's a lot of people are put in situations they probably shouldn't be put in this industry, unfortunately, and you guys got to help them the best you can. But like you said, you got to be safe.
Right.
So anything else you want to talk about?
No. So again, I mean, if you want to transition to this, it's good. Again, you don't have to climb up the ladders. You don't have to be carrying 100-pound equipment or trying to drag it up there, or worrying about the power lines or what have you. But again, patience and being willing to help somebody till the end, not getting frustrated in the middle and be like, hey, you know what, call back.
Yeah.
You have to almost kind of stay with them, not hold their hand to a certain point, but you got to be willing to almost stay with them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really good that you have the infield background, because a lot of times some people in tech support don't have that. And it's nothing against that, nothing against them. I mean, we all have a role to fill, but you have the infield experience to back it up, so it's probably pretty comforting to a lot of guys when they call in and you can explain some things, you've seen things, and it probably helps out a lot, I imagine, coming from that side of it. Anything advice you'd give to the guys to do before they call in?
Have your meter with you, have a screwdriver with you, and just have an idea, have the equipment taken apart and kind of give us an idea of what do you think is wrong with it. Don't just call in and say, hey, I'm here.
It won't turn on. What's next?
What do I do? Do you have the panels off? No. Do you have your screwdriver? No. Do you have a meter? No.
I can only imagine the horror stories you guys do, because I do a lot of tech support for my company, technicians, and I help guys outside my company just because I want to grow this industry, and that's just part of what's going to have to take is guys willing to help other guys get into it. And some of the stuff these guys call me about, I'm just gritting my teeth. I'm like, oh, I really want to hang up, but I can't do that. I really want to be like, what are you doing? I can't do that. So I could feel the frustration. Do you guys, I know there's a lot of software out there where you guys can, I don't know if you guys use it here, but you can use their phone to see what they see. Have you guys seen that stuff?
We have Stream.
Do you?
I use it all the time.
Do you? That's a pretty cool feature. I've used it with some other manufacturers I do some warranty work for, and it's always pretty cool. I've talked to some companies that are, that do that kind of stuff, and it's really cool software to see. I know some that actually lets them control the camera. You can zoom in, and you can circle stuff on the screen and that kind of stuff.
Use a pointer when they say, what am I looking at? Well, the contactor's there, and then you can use a pointer and like, oh, there it is.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So I didn't know you guys had that capability. So that's awesome. So
it's really helpful too, because again, sometimes they're saying it's a piece of different equipment. You're like, that doesn't make sense. Let me see what you got, and then it's like, no, that's the wrong unit. That's not even our unit.
We're looking at the wrong thing.
We're both clashing with ideas, and it's like, well, let me see. That's not even our unit, sir.
That's cool.
So that helps. Then that cuts again the frustration on his end, because he's thinking I'm like, what is this guy talking about?
You guys think you're both crazy? You do not. You're just looking at two different pieces of equipment.
It's like that's not our equipment.
Model and serial numbers. The number one thing they probably need to make sure they have before they call in. Model serial numbers, basic readings, voltages, anything you can do before you call in to make it a little bit easier is going to save you time. It's going to save the technician time.
And that's where the stream video comes in handy. Sometimes these models or the units have the serial number scraped off.
Yeah.
Someone took it off. So you can't give me the model and serial number. You just know it's this particular manufacturer. That's where the video comes, in good hands, and we're able to figure it out together. But definitely, if you can see the model and serial number, we definitely have that.
Well, sometimes you can't. It's not even somewhere you know where it's at. It's hidden somewhere, and maybe you can be like, "Oh, look here," and like, "Oh, it's
off
there."
The bottom panel or behind the unit on the top.
I had a unit I worked on last week. It was like 3 months old, and this place had actually already rubbed the model serial number off of a 3-month-old unit. I'm like, "How did you guys do that?" Now, that's the cleanest place I've ever been in. So, but yeah, they rubbed it off. I was like. And a lot of manufacturers will put it in a couple of different places, but some only put it in one place, so that makes a lot of sense.
So, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, model, serial number, your tools, and have the equipment open if you can. If it's safe, then take the panels off.
A willingness to learn and to listen. So
exactly.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know you probably got calls stacking up in there waiting on you.
Yeah, we're good. We'll push through.
We'll push through. Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I think,
Clean your coils.
well, yeah, I mean, preventative maintenance, number one.
Yeah. I think since COVID, when COVID hit, preventive maintenance just kind of went to the wayside, and no one's really doing it anymore. It's all reactive stuff, and I get there and I'm like, oh, your cooler's running at 45 degrees, and I look at the condenser coil and I'm like, well, let's start here. I'm like, clean it off, and it drops down. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, this could have been prevented. I used to do preventive maintenance here, but since COVID, you guys cut it out of your budget, and then once everything started picking back up, you guys just didn't put it back in the budget. And I can definitely agree with that.
And I'm noticing like service companies now are starting to get with their clients again and doing a preventative maintenance program.
Yeah, we're trying to push it.
Which is highly recommended.
We're trying to push it. Do a lot of your manufacturers do they recommend some kind of pre-filter over the condenser coil or don't? I mean, I know some do and some don't.
Yeah, some do, some don't. It depends. But in the kitchen, you definitely want to try to
either
figure something out for them.
Yeah, I try to use either that gray real loose stuff or that blue Horsehair stuff. Yeah, it makes sure it gets changed. But I mean, that's just like a sacrificial thing. The grease is going to stick to it versus the coil.
Right.
I mean, it's worth. I mean, you may pay $5 or $10 for it up front, but it's going to save you $500 or an overtime call down the road. Right. So.
And a lot of end users, they call in and that's their complaint. Well, that costs, but it's like, well, if you look in the long term, it's going to help you.
Yep.
Short term, you're like, oh, but long term?
No, yeah, no one ever thinks long term. They just see the initial cost versus, what they have. They don't think about it. But like you said, if Friday night and it's your cooler is at 45 degrees, 50 degrees, you get deemed by Board of Health. This costs you a lot more than that $5. 3 months it did. And
big time.
Sweet. I've called in for tech support. And I'm on the far end. I hate calling tech support. I just don't want to do it unless I absolutely have to. Nothing against you guys. It's just that it's the last thing I want to do. And a lot of guys feel intimidated calling tech support. They feel like they think they're dumb or they don't know what they're doing. But I mean, the stuff we work on, everything changes so fast. Right. It's such a wide variety. You cannot possibly know or understand how everything works. And I try to reassure the guys, no, calling tech support is normal. I mean, you don't want to call it just to call them. But if you have problems, reach out for tech support. Whether you're reaching out to your fellow technicians you work with or the manufacturer, reach out and get that support. My co-host Rich, he's like, man, I'd rather feel dumb 5 minutes calling tech support than to feel dumb for hours, beat myself up over not figuring it out.
Right.
I mean, no one at tech support's going to call you dumb. No one at tech support's going to make fun of you. They may question some of your processes on how you do some things just because they want to understand what you've got to or how you got to where you're at. But no one's going to call you out for not knowing how to fix something. I mean, we've all been there. We can't possibly understand how to work on everything in this industry.
And we get unusual calls from experienced techs. We're like, this is happening, and we're both like, wow. Really? Yeah, and then eventually you find out it's just an anomaly. I mean, it happened to him, it happened to that tech.
Oh yeah, I'm bad.
It happened to me, it's like, wow.
When I call tech support, generally it's like I said, it's a last ditch effort, and I call and I just start unloading numbers. And most of the time, the people I call freak out. They're like, whoa, hold on. I'm like, no, I'm trying to get you to where I'm at. They're like, well, we gotta start here. I'm like, no, I'm way past where you're starting at, dude. I've been on this, And sometimes, the guys, they get a little frustrated at me because I'm like, no, we need to get way past wherever you're thinking. We need to get over here. And I'm trying to explain all the information. I understand there's a process that your team has to follow to get through, but yeah, when I call in, I'm generally freaking out because it's bad if I'm calling.
And it's usually, again, we get experienced techs too, and exactly, they'll be like, hey, I'm over here, Gil. And it's like, okay, well, what did you do? Just give me a briefing, so my mind can kind of race up and catch.
Yeah, because you may have missed something simple. That's generally what it is. I've missed something simple. I didn't think about it. I thought it was too basic. I get caught up in a bigger issue because I work on a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of weird issues I work on. And I think I get caught up overthinking things sometimes, especially the guys that have been doing this a long time. You overthink it, and then you miss the basic thing, and that's what's causing all your other problems. You don't even think about it.
So when we ask you that, we're just kind of trying to catch up to where you're at. So our mind is like, okay, all right.
Everybody, I think, gives the tech support guys a hard time for no reason. I think it's just, they think, oh, they're tech support, they don't know. And it really, I mean, especially you guys rep a ton of people, so you got to know a lot of different stuff. I'm sure you got guys that are really good at certain things, focus on certain things mainly, and some guys that kind of do a little bit of everything. But give the tech support guys some grace, man, because it's not an easy job. Because I know how I get when I'm stressed out, and I can only imagine people worse than me. So,
Oh, yeah. And again, we want to work with you.
Yeah.
We want to work with the techs. They're swearing. Again, we let them vent. I do.
yeah,
Just let them vent. It's like, okay, but let's get back on point.
yeah,
I hear you. I understand your frustration, but let's get back on point.
yeah,
Where are we at? Well, I'm all the way over here. Okay, well, let's just kind of bring me up to speed.
yeah.
I want to help you. I don't want to hang up on you.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. That's not what I do.
Yeah, don't call tech support and scream and cuss at them. Now, a lot of guys cuss. They're not cussing at you, but don't call and cuss at us tech support guy. I mean, their job's hard enough as it is. I couldn't imagine.
But it's all good. We push through. We try to help. We're here to help.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time.
Sure.
It was nice meeting you, sir.
You too.
So, hey, you call in, you talk to him, you better be nice to him.
Yeah, we're here to help. Remember, we're here to help.
Thanks, man.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, back again at Partstown. I've got Curtis Simatackle here. And what do you do here, Curtis?
So I help manage the cold side technical services team at Partstown. I've been with Partstown for just over 10 years.
Wow.
And kind of just started as a technician, kind of worked my way up, and now I'm kind of helping the whole team out.
Sweet. That's cool. That's pretty good tenure, 10 years.
Yeah, longest I've ever been with a company.
Yeah. I've been on General Parts 13 years. We're part of Partstown. And I love it here. I tell everybody I'll retire from either General Parts or USG, one of the two. I'll find a place and I'll stick it out and I'll finish it. So
Cool.
That's good to see.
Yeah.
What was your experience before you came to work here?
So before I came here, right out of high school, I went to trade school. I did heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration. I was actually kind of fortunate to grow up in a family business. My father owned a heating and air conditioning business. His father owned it before him. So we sort of grew up in it and kind of learned some things from there. I knew I didn't want to go to college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So thought I'd be a mechanic. And yeah, I did heating and air for about 15 years, a little bit of facility maintenance in between before I got to Partstown.
Nice. My dad, he did HVAC, and then he went to a company that did food service repair, and he started doing refrigeration there and food service repair. And then that company was a family-owned company, real small, and that was one time when Ecolab started going around buying everybody, and they got bought up and became GCS, and he didn't want to be a part of that. He was an older guy, didn't want to be a part of that. He liked the family environment he had, was working for, so he retired from there and then got me in. I started off as an electrician, so I went to vocational school, high school, did 2 years there, came out, worked electrician for 6.5 years, and then came over to the food service side, and it's been a blessing, man. I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, it definitely has been. It's kind of like an industry shift for me, but I knew how to read a wiring diagram. I knew refrigeration is refrigeration when it comes down to it, and same with gas and all of that. So it was just learning it in a different, smaller package.
Yeah, it's wild. The stuff like people always ask me what's it like working on everything you work on? I'm like, man, that gas valve you find on that rooftop unit, that furnace, is the same gas valve that's in an oven or in a fryer. I said that same thermocouple is sensing that there, sensing it here. I said, a lot of the parts are the same.
Yeah.
They may be slightly different, but it's the same concept.
For sure.
I was like, you see the same in-shot burners in a rooftop unit that you see in an oven. That's the same burner that's in that rooftop unit that's in that South Bend or Blodgett oven. It's the same style. It's like, if you can figure out how to fix it on that, you can figure out how to fix it on this.
For sure.
And a lot of guys are intimidated by making that jump. I was like, man, but if you can fix a rooftop unit or a package unit furnace, you can fix an oven.
Yeah, relay's still a relay, contactor's still a contactor.
Yeah, so I mean, our industry kind of gets lumped into HVAC, our industry, because we do a lot of the same stuff. So we're our own little corner. We're kind of pushed off in the corner. And, I'm just trying to push us out to the front. Let people know that, hey, this is a cool job, a lot of fun stuff, and I like it. So.
Yeah. Always busy too. I mean, job security is definitely a nice thing, So even with the pandemic and everything.
Oh yeah, the pandemic. I worked more hours during the pandemic than I've ever worked in my entire life. And people are like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, just because people couldn't go in the restaurant, drive-thrus were busy, food delivery services were busy.
Yeah.
You could pick up orders. I said it was absolutely insane. Plus hospitals, nursing homes picked up, so I was doing work there. Now we didn't have the school work, but I said I've never worked more hours in my life than during the pandemic.
Yeah. Yep.
I went through 2008, the recession back then, and I didn't notice anything back then. It seems like our industry is pretty safe as far as it goes. So it's a really cool job, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So What is a day-to-day operation of what you do here?
So basically, kind of helping be a technical support. You know, with the experience our team has, you know, a lot of the team has had past experience in the field. Some of them directly from food service. You know, so we'll take phone calls and try to help anyone and everyone really for certain manufacturers. So, you know, we'll try and do some simple things with end users, like, you know, teach them where the condenser coil is, you know, routine maintenance that warranty may not cover, you know, things like that.
Is there a bag stuck against the coil, or is there a coil? Can you see what looks like a coil?
Yep, exactly.
Does it look like there's a cat stuck down there? So let's clean that off first before you call about your warranty.
Yeah, or they can't find it because it's pushed up against a wall and there's no airflow whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like an education part. You know, we're trying to teach them things they probably didn't read in the manual when they got the equipment, or the manual doesn't exist.
Yeah, what's a manual?
Yeah, exactly right.
Most of it more is a little QR code you scan and it's on your phone. I like that. You know, it's pretty cool when we go to work on something, you can bring it up and it's right there.
For sure.
So that's cool.
Yeah, so that could be the start of it. You know, we'll help field technicians when they call in with questions, help them get them wiring diagrams, get their path kind of going, help them find where a part may be if it's difficult to get at, or replace a part, and so on. So yeah, it's a good day, good 8-hour day.
I never thought about the end user thing, and that makes sense because, you know, we're technicians, we call tech support, but, you know, that end user has the same phone numbers we do, so they may be calling tech support too, trying to fix it themselves. So I never thought about that side of it. I mean, that's something to think about, because that's adding a lot more volumes probably to what you guys do.
And we want them to use it right, you know. We want them to treat it well so it lasts a good time, you know.
But, you know, that also is saving the manufacturer money, because you're possibly catching things that they could fix themselves versus sending us out there. And I don't mind going out and plugging something in, but I've got more pressing things to do than going out, plugging something in, or brushing a coil off. I mean, if I have to do it, I will, but I've got other issues to fix, you know, if I have to drive an hour there to do that, I mean, because you know what's going to happen. The customer's going to get that bill. It's not going to go to the manufacturer, and the customer's going to think the manufacturer's just pushing it over on them or something else. And really, it's a lack of training on the customer's end. So
and we'll help educate them, you know, because they think, well, it's under warranty, I don't ever have to touch it, you know. So we'll say, well, no, not necessarily. You know, utilize your service company that you should already have. You know, get a maintenance contract set up with them. They'll help you out too, you know, and kind of help bring that to light. So.
It goes back to that manual. They don't know where it's at. It was in the box that some guy pushed the cooler freezer in and didn't give them the manual. It's still in the box and it got thrown away, or it's not printed, so they didn't have it. So
for sure,
that's a good point there. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So you guys deal with customers, you deal with technicians. Anything crazy you've ever had to deal with? You're just like, what in the world's going on here? I'm sure there is. We can't say names, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But
things where they wanna take a unit. It's usually this will be the out of warranty stuff, but they'll want to take a unit and make it do something it's not. You know, take a cooler and turn it into a meat smoker. You know, and they'll call us and ask, how should I do that? And we're like, well, that's don't or good luck. You know, so things like that are kind of the craziest ones we'll get. You know, but just things like that, really.
Oddball stuff. Stuff is not designed for, and they try to make it work.
Some install stuff too that could be interesting. You know, hey, I got a 7-foot wide unit. I got to get through a 3-foot door. How can I do that?
Cut your wall out.
You can't. So it's fun for sure.
That's funny. Yeah, I could see. I can only imagine. I get the customer side of it. I can imagine, you know, I bought this thing at an auction and I want to do this. How do I make it do it? Well, you don't. You shouldn't have bought that. So a day-to-day thing, you're just dealing with customers, manufacturers, technicians. Anything you want the technicians to do before they call in? I know we've been over this a couple different times, but I like seeing everyone has different aspects. Everyone has different tips. Everyone has a different idea of what they expect from the technicians when they call in. So
you know, just the basic stuff that they know, you know, to already do. You know, check that there's power to it. You know, check that there's voltage going to it. Get some meter readings. You know, if it's refrigeration and if it's needed, you suspect a refrigeration issues, go ahead and get your gauges on. Do what they already know, what they know how to do, you know, and then when they're stuck, give us a call and say, hey, I've checked this, I've checked that, I've checked this. And then also we're always looking for the numbers. You know, my voltage is good.
No, dude.
You know, the manufacturer doesn't want to hear that a lot of times.
That is my biggest sticking point. I have one of my guys call me, hey, what's the gas pressure? Oh, it's good. No, I asked you what the gas pressure was. I didn't ask you if it was good or not. I'm like, good's not an answer.
Right.
Good's a box you check. That's not the box I want. I need to
Yep.
know. And generally, they never call me back because they go check gas pressure and it wasn't good.
Yeah, yep. And then also too, just always though, looking at the things like the state of the units and taking that into consideration. If
Yeah.
they showed up and then it was powered off, okay, well, why was it powered off? A little bit of detective work there too.
Yeah, just spend a little time to actually do some stuff on the unit. Now, I get not everyone's fully trained. They don't understand how some things work. And so you're going to get guys calling that doesn't understand how to turn the unit on or that kind of stuff. But, I mean, you still got to do some work. I mean,
Yeah, for sure. And then, and that's okay. And we understand that. We help some technicians get to, where they need to be, But, of course, safety first.
Yeah.
If they call in and, we have any kind of, worry about them using a meter safely because they've never used one before, we might tell them to kind of maybe wait.
Yeah, let's get someone else out here. Yeah, we don't want to get anybody hurt. It can be a dangerous job, and I want everybody to get home safe.
For sure, absolutely.
So you do refrigeration, you handle that kind of stuff, and I do refrigeration. I do anything in the kitchen I'm not scared to work on. I love doing stuff. I love the challenge. I love all the different aspects of what we do, and that's what's appealing to this industry for me. So R290 stuff, we get all kinds of grief, and I love talking about R290 right now because the new refrigerants are A2Ls. Everyone's it's got a flammability. I'm like, man, I've been dealing with propane in a kitchen for 12 years. I'm like, A2L is nothing on this. What we work on, and the equipment doesn't have taps, so I try to teach my guys non-invasive testing. Right. So when you go in, let's check the amp compressor. If it's low, let's not just assume that it's a back compressor. Let's check temperatures of the discharge line, suction line, liquid line. I try to teach guys how to figure stuff out about what's going on inside that system without getting into the system. Because we all know it. We got guys, first thing they do, amp draw's low, they just throw taps on there and check it. And, a lot of guys don't understand that, that's a critical charge. I use a probe. So I don't use hoses on nothing anymore. And you put hoses on a system that holds 3.5 ounces, you don't know if it's low or if it's in your hose. You can't tell me at this point.
Yep.
I think I was talking to someone the other day, and your normal 1/4-inch gauge hose uses like 1/4 ounce per foot. So if you have 6-foot hoses, there's 1.5 ounces in one side. And if you have both sides hooked up, that's 3 ounces.
Yeah.
And then what's in your manifold? The system's flat. Well, no, all your gas is in your hose now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
we go with that too, and that's kind of the last thing we recommend doing. Or if they call in and they already got their hoses on, it's like, well, now you done it, So it's going back to the rule of thumbs and the theories, Is it transferring heat? If nothing's warm, it's not moving heat, then okay, then maybe you can suspect the refrigeration issue. But then also, well, are the fans running? Is the coil clear? And so on, because it may not be transferring heat because of that. Still don't put your gauges on. Get it back to where it needs to be, and let's kind of go from there.
I run it all the time. I have a guy had a frozen up evaporator. Unit's low. Yeah. I'm like, no, don't just guess it's low because it's frozen. I'm like, I thought it out. He went out there and he was like, I'm putting. This was a Hobart cooler from like the 80s. I mean, this thing's probably as old as me, and it's never been touched. Never had gauges. It never had ports put on it. And it was froze up. It's low. It's got to be low. I'm like, no. He was like, I'm going to put ports on. I was like, stop. So I went out there. I thought it out. I'm like, man, this thing is not draining any water. And that evaporator sits real low in that drain pan. So it wasn't draining water, and the ice just started to build. And once it started to build, it just worked its way up. I was like, thing's perfect. Thawed it out, cleared that obstruction, and the thing worked perfect. I was like, this thing's 40 years old. It's never had taps put on. We're not putting taps on today, buddy.
Right. Yep.
I'm like, let's give it every chance it has. So that's another one of my things.
Yeah.
Give the unit every chance it has. Coil's clear, fans running, evaporator coil free of debris, free of ice. Same with the kinetic coil. Do everything you can before you get into that system.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a last ditch thing. I mean, and people are like, it doesn't have ports on it because it's R290. No, that's not the case.
Yeah.
They don't want you to put gauges on there. That's why they don't put ports on there.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the manufacturers are coming out now with ports already on them from the factory, and that's great as long as the guys know don't use them unless you have to.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
I tell my guys, if you're working on a unit under warranty and you think you have a leak, go through all this stuff, and before you put ports on there, you better call the manufacturer and ask them if they want you to put ports on there. And most of the time, they'll say, if you tell them what you've done, they'll say, okay, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they know you've done your homework.
Yeah.
or if you've missed something, they're going to ask you for that, and then so.
And then that's sometimes too where we'll just help think outside the box. You know, we'll be the second set of eyes. You know, we may think of something they didn't think of. You know, and usually something simple. You know, hey, when did it go down? You know, for example, it went down overnight. Do they turn their air conditioning off at night? Oh yeah, they do. Well, it could have been something to do with that.
External factors.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of stuff that can be going on in refrigeration.
Yeah.
I was a late adapter in refrigeration. I started off hot side for the first 3 years, and then I wanted to do refrigeration. And I went to a company, said they'd train me, and their idea of training me was it's on the truck, figure it out type of stuff. So I learned on my own. I struggled, I fought. There's still days I struggle and fight, but I love doing it. It's different. It's a slower pace, and that was my biggest learning curve, was how to slow down. It takes time, because I can fix an oven, have it running, have it cycle 5 or 6 times, and be confident it's fixed. But if I'm working on a Hoshizaki ice machine, I gotta let it make 3 batches to time them. That's 45 minutes a batch on some of these units. It's a lot of time, and now you're just standing there. And what do? Your customer's like, "What are you doing?" Well, I gotta let it make ice. Well, it's making ice. Well, no, it may be making ice, but what's it gonna do? 2 hours from now, when it's on the third batch. And
it's a patient thing with the refrigeration for sure. You gotta wait for it to, equalize out sometimes. Sometimes they wanna get in there and they wanna start playing with the expansion valve, and I'm like, well, okay.
That's the last thing I wanna do.
Did you just turn the unit on? Yeah, okay, so now it's under a full load and you adjusted the expansion valve, so now you gotta wait for it to come down, and when it's at temp, adjust it back, and things.
Superheat's adjusted when it's close to set point, not when the box is 85 degrees, let it run.
Yeah, exactly. It's a patient thing for sure.
I've built some boxes, and you turn it on, like, oh, it's taking forever to cool. Well, yeah, I guess that's superheat. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. Let's let this thing run overnight. I'll see what it does tomorrow. I'll come back the next day. So that's guys. They see a knob and they start cranking on. I'm like, that's not what that's there for, guys. Let's not do this.
And you may not see the reaction right away. So now you got to wait 10 minutes.
I've got guys that. Oh, start components about it. I'm gonna change the compressor. I'm like, dude, why do you want to do that? I'm like, I don't like changing the compressor.
They're heavy.
I'm like, this is a lot of work. When I can change start components and I can test the compressor, as long as everything's fine, it's fine. I'm like, I own it out. I got a compressor analyzer I use now. I'm like, I don't want to change compressors, dude. That's so much work. And I catch a lot of grief because I'm famous for saying that I'm really good at my job because I'm really lazy. Because it's easier for me to diagnose than it's easier for me to change parts. And I've got guys that'll change parts all day long. And I'm like, until they fix the problem, I'm like, no, I'll figure out what it is and then change the one part because I'm lazy like that.
Yeah, my old man used to tell me take an hour or 2 to diagnose it and then take 15 minutes to fix it.
Yep, I'm 100%. I'm 100% down that road, man. I was like, I'm not changing that compressor unless I have to. That's a worst case scenario, man.
Yep. Cool.
So anything else you want to tell people that may be interested in, coming out of the field or a job in like tech support role or something?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there in it, so it's a possibility for sure. The field, I had a lot of fun in the field, a lot of times too, you are your own person, there's some loneliness to it, but there's some freedom to it, there's a lot of different things you're going to see in traveling and whatnot, but when it comes down to it at some point, you might want to get the 8-hour day and the 40-hour week and have the consistency, so there's a possibility there, and there's opportunity for knowledge in that, to help everybody out with that, so I'll never forget one of the first months I started working here, it hit negative 16 degrees outside. And normally I'd be on a roof. And I was walking inside with the biggest smile on my face and sitting down in a 70-degree office, Yeah, you're in a chair and you're staring at a screen all day, but you're still having fun. You're still doing technical stuff.
Yeah.
You're still helping, The fun of helping others out is always there too, so.
You're still making a difference.
Absolutely.
And I've got a newfound respect for tech support guys. I was a typical guy. I don't call unless I have to, and then generally I'm to the point where I'm calling. I'm they're starting here and I'm 10 pages deep. It's just I try to get them up to where I'm at, and I have an attitude. I'm not gonna lie. And after talking with everybody this last couple of days, I'm gonna change how I treat tech support people for sure. Because it's a very important job they have to do, and especially guys like you. You guys represent a ton of different manufacturers, so A lot rougher on you guys than I imagine a normal tech support person.
We're here to help. We're here to work together. You know, not we don't know everything. You know, you're never going to know everything
No.
in this industry, right? So working together and just kind of putting two heads together is always, you know, can be helpful. Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.